Win $100,000 monthly with Sleepy Sanitary Pads. Sleepy Sanitary Pads are all natural and are made with cotton and bamboo fibers. It is dye and lotion free, hence no irritations or rashes. Sleepy Sanitary Pads are available in 2 sizes, ultra thin and thick. It is affordable and available nationwide. See press for details. Visit our Sleepy South America Facebook page or call us on 233-2473.
Drink and chew to the beat of Mogo Mogo with fun fruit flavors and real nata de coco bits. Mogo Mogo, you gotta chew. Distributed in Guyana by Saria Manufacturing Inc.
Time is now 13 hours 33 and it is time for COVID-19 and Elections Watch. We have Mr. Leonard Gildarie to blame for the late start of this afternoon's program, and as usual alongside his co-host Dr. Yog Mahadeo, one next in white, the other in blue, a clear division of the light ahead of the country. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, dear Kevin Smith, and of course Raj, the controls. Good day to you, gentlemen. I think it has been very clear now that the gentlemen in the studio believe they want to take charge of the world. There's only 2 persons who could take charge as well. That's Pinky and the Brain. And those are the people who knows about that. A good day to you wherever you join us from across this beautiful nation of ours. Welcome to the Elections and COVID-19 Watch here in Kaicho News, Kaicho Radio. Sister companies, and it's 99.1, 99.5 in Berbice if you want to get us. And good day to the folks down in the Pomeroon. Somebody called from Maruka this morning, all the way from Region 1. They are tuned in to us. A good day to you there, folks. I hope that you, in Region 1, that you guys are holding the fort there. COVID-19 has us bad. Elections Watch also would be bringing you live updates as to what's happening with elections. Beyond shameful is what it is. So I want to say good day to our people who would be joining us not only in Guyana but right across the world, in the Europe, in the North America, US, Canada, Caribbean, right next door, Brazil, French Guyana, St. Lucia. How are you doing, Mr. Dion Ryan? And of course, on the East Bank in my little home place of Diamond Grove there. Good day to you, Cane Grove, West Berbice. Good day to you too. It has been a very interesting day yesterday. It has been a very hurtful day to the Guyanese people in that few moments after a very critical delivery of a decision by the Chief Justice, she's been somebody, Yog, who has really shown her mettle when it comes to ensuring that she delivers her judgment, stays above the fray, and that's something that's very commendable. One of the judges who's really rose above the criticisms and has done her job. So that's Chief Justice Acton Roxanne George. Good day to you, ma'am. Yog Mahadeo, how are you doing, sir?
Like you said, it's another of those days in which we are seeing how steeped in disillusionment, how steep in deceit, not disillusionment, how steep in deceit the members of this cabal would be. Leonard, I want to share with you in the opening, the CJ said yesterday in her ruling that in paragraph 82, ladies and gentlemen, that whether he participated in these proceedings or not, that is the proceedings of Moore and Ali, the CEO was bound by those decisions. Leonard, I feel other than using some bad language in court yesterday, she could not have been more forthright in explaining, in outlining how bad this application in front of her was not just constructed, but was forcing or trying to force the court to take a position in which no court could take. So it is a day that Guyana should not be proud of. And you know what? At the end of the day, what did the applicant do? The applicant's attorneys ended up saying, well, we're going to appeal this matter. And what is even more worrying is that Basil Williams said that this matter must go to the CCJ. He already knows what is the outcome at the Court of Appeal. And he knows that this matter is going to end at the CCJ. He's played his hand very early. Leonard, these people are intent on bringing the courts into disrepute. Everything they have said or done is to bring shame to the judiciary. And I don't know. I mean, I know the judiciary is very constrained in how it conducts itself. But as of yesterday afternoon, Mr. Granger's spokesperson was on air saying that the court has made a political decision and not a legal decision. How else can you turn this?
Well, there's so many things and many conclusions that could be made as to how the situation has been evolved and the turns and twists of it. There has been more than 104. It's been 141 days since that March the 2nd elections, and I'm trying to find stronger words than shameful. I'm trying to find stronger words than unbelievable. I'm trying to find stronger words than how you say it, heartless. I don't know. I've been losing track of the number of cases. Last evening, room 592, and Anandal was here. And if you would have heard what he would have said, we raised so many issues. If you've missed it, you could get that on Kaichur Radio on YouTube, Facebook, and it has all the entire interview there, the entire room 592 there. But Yog, what is coming out very, very clear right now, it isn't, there's not any pretense anymore with regards to what this is all about. This hasn't to do with fake votes. This has nothing to do with dead people voting. This has nothing to do with anything else except staying in power. Stay in power. That's all it has to do. And what does it take to do that? Any story that will that you have to tell the people of Guyana, that is what they're doing. This morning, I will pause here because I wanted the people of Guyana to understand very clearly what is going on here. I don't believe that you and I would be held out of it, Yog. This morning I understand that Roel Johnson, our editor here, was called in to the police. I will say nothing for it except that Kaichur News will be probably issuing a statement via the newspaper on this issue here. I understand it has to do with an issue that was under investigation a couple of years old. I will make no comment as to whether there's any truth to the matter. I think the newspaper would be quite capable, from the publisher and others, to issue those statements a little. But the timing of it, when the newspaper and the radio would have been doing what it's supposed to be doing, carrying out its mandate, it is very, very clear to us that the game is afoot, so Sherlock Holmes has said. So we leave that as of now. I did receive a number of calls. I had no details of it. I am awaiting to be briefed on that issue with Roel being called into the police. I'm not sure if he was arrested. I know that he's at work as we speak here. So we'll see how that comes out. In the meantime, Yog, it seems that whatever could be done to silence whoever is opening the mouth, I would not be surprised if I am targeted, if you're targeted. We've already received threats to our families, very subtle sometimes, very outright, even within our forum here daily. We see many attempts of that happening. I could tell you that as far as my instructions are with regards to doing what we're supposed to be doing here, Mr. Lal says he has given us his full protection, his backings of the newspaper as well as from the radio, and let us continue doing that. He's extremely proud to be serving the people of Guyana. That is my instruction. Good day to you, Mr. Lal and family, wherever you are at the moment. I know that you're hard at work doing what you're supposed to be doing. And a good day to our staffers down at Kiteshire News as well. I know that you guys have, without fear or favor, presented the news. We're very proud of the work that you would have done. And of course, my co-host too, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, who's unflinchingly been with us since March 2nd, saying it as it is without fear and favor. Very admirable, sir. Thank you very much for that. Guyana owes you a favor. In these dark times, there can be no excuse. Anybody who tried to put it any other way, and they would come at us too, but when you throw stones as a stay, yesterday we said that, stones could be thrown back, and so we prepared for the long haul, we prepared for the fight. Guyanese people are not going to back down. And so it's day 2, the gloves are off. We've said that for a little while, and we intend to step it up because this is absolute madness that our entire country is at a standstill at the moment. People are screaming. I just had a person here, Yog, at the office here that came all the way from Cane Grove looking for help, all the way from Cane Grove on the East Coast. That is the madness that we're seeing here right now. In the meantime, what has been made very clear from Ananda last evening is that there's a huge bill, there's a huge invoice that the Guyanese people would be saddled with because a couple of people decided to take it to court. Now, a couple of ladies who has been probably fooled to file some court cases, they have taken some lawyers, we got to be high-priced lawyers because somebody got to be paying it. Did they pay? Those are the questions. So we're going to put it to the test. We're going to start asking the right questions now. Who's paying for it? If it's a state that's paying, somebody should get ready to file some court cases right now to ensure that it's not the state that will be saddled. If you own properties, we're coming after you. So this is not going to end overnight. Mr. President, if you listen to this, the people are not going to back down. The people are going to fight because this is absolute madness that is happening at the moment. Over to you, Yog, because at 2:30 today, you could join us at Kiteshire Radio here, Facebook, YouTube. We have coming on here a special meeting of the OS, Organization of American States. There's a body of which Guyana is part of, similar to CARICOM. And they have, officials there have requested a meeting of its permanent council to discuss the Guyana situation, the elections that would have happened here and the dragging on, because Guyana, it has implications to that body there as to whether you have a rogue state, whether you have a renegade state that which its government is not abiding by the rule of law. So we are going to bring you live coverage of that on Facebook, YouTube, still to make a decision whether we go live on the actual radio and itself, the radio channel frequency, 99.1, 99.5. But in the meantime, Yog, many things to talk about here. Not only the OS story here, but the judge yesterday at the Chief Justice would have made some startling statements there about what is happening, what has happened with regards to hopelessly flawed. Why you as a lawyer would present something knowing that it's not going anywhere? There's some conclusions that could be made there. So let's get right over to you, Yog. Let's get right on into the meat of the things.
Thank you, Leonard. Yes, indeed. I think yesterday the Chief Justice, and look, she acted with great speed. This matter was heard, considered by her. And when you look at the decision that was handed down, the decision is well researched. She has taken pains to outline sections and case law and all of the applicable things that are needed to give a clear guidance on these elections, Leonard, on this current problem, of course. And there are a couple of things that she said. And somehow or the other, the APNO AFC cabal is so bent on wanting to steal these elections that they refuse. Logic and truth are strangers to the APNO AFC cabal. truth and logic are absolute strangers to them. Because, Leonard, look, the Chief Justice yesterday said that she explained that I agree with the submission that Article 177(2)(b can be construed to mean that GCOM is not to act on the advice of any person or body external to the Commission. But I do not agree that the submission of the CEO has a constitutional mandate under Article 177. It is the chairman and GCOM that has a constitutional mandate. So, I mean, this thing, when you look at it, it is a legal slap. It is a harsh, plainly spoken, couched within legal language, but a clear indication. And when she said in paragraph 77, the 10 declarations cannot be resurrected. There can no longer be an impasse between the chairperson and the CEO as to the effect of Article 177(2)(b and Section 96. She basically has said it is gone, it is dead and buried. Events have overtaken those 10 declarations. Why you want to resurrect these jumbies contained in Mingo's declaration, this dead fictitious votes that Mingo would have brought out? And so, you know, in this regard, she said, for the avoidance of doubt, the CEO is subject to the direction and control of the Commission. He is no Lone Ranger. He cannot go off on a frolic on his own. Remember, that would have been the phrase that the attorney Kite would have used. So, ladies and gentlemen, this decision is very clear. The man is bound by all of the decisions. Look, this Madam Chief Justice said, let me read to you paragraph 85. The reliefs sought are all based on issues that have been litigated previously and determined by the courts that take precedence over the High Court. However, Leonard, when your aim is to steal and thief and cheat, no words will matter. And this is what's happening to the APNO AFC. This is what's happening to Old Man Granger at this stage. This is what is happening to President Granger. The team, the cabal, is so bent on lying, cheating, and stealing that English language makes no difference anymore. Now, what are they going to appeal? Listen, you know the reason I read this paragraph 85? Because the Madam Chief Justice has said these matters were litigated previously and determined by the courts. Now, if it was already determined by the High Court, by the Court of Appeal, by the CCJ, when you appeal it and you go to the Court of Appeal, what? Will the Court of Appeal overturn the Court of Appeal's previous decision? Will the Court of Appeal find that it can overturn a CCJ decision? And I tell you what is even more worrying, Leonard, is as I said at the top of the program last night, APNO AFC spokesperson, Mr. President David Granger's spokesperson, was on the airways saying that this court that gave this decision had taken political directives, that did not make a decision based on law. That is a crying shame for Mr. Norton to say that, Leonard. Mr. Aubrey Norton was on air last night, and he said that this decision is a decision in politics and not in law. That is a very, very great shame. And
it's a very dangerous thing to Yog to be casting aspersions on the good judge.
Leonard, to come to the point you made, and just before that, let me say this. I'm seeing other APNO AFC sympathizers and apologists have made statements saying that somehow or the other, Madam Chief Justice, uncle or somebody have all been PPP. Since when it's a matter of PPP, PNC, I thought you were going to the court to determine what the CEO can do or cannot do. So now it's PPP, PNC again. Now it's race again. Now it's lying, cheating, and stealing. They're exposing themselves. And to your point, Leonard, I would want some attorney to file a wire, a wire fraud claim at the court, because a private citizen in this country cannot take an overseas lawyer
to fight for him or her, but the overseas lawyer is being paid by somebody else. There has to be an investigation by Culture News. There has to be an investigation by the media houses to look at how money transfers is being done, who is paying for these high-priced Trinidadian lawyers, and where is the money coming from? Because I rather suspect that the money being paid to the overseas lawyers are coming from the state. It is being funded by the taxpayers. And Granger must know we removed a mandate from him and his cabal since March 2nd. He has no authority to spend our money.
And Yog, I think that is something that we have to look into. And one has got to ask, where is the chairman, is the Auditor General in all of this? Sir, if you're listening, or if somebody is listening that is very close to you, you should be making statements that is very, very clear that if there is going to be any challenge, which we are not here to talk about that. What we're talking about, if there's going to be a challenge, it got to be very clear that it can be that the state is paying for a political party stance on this entire thing. And that is a big issue. He has to come out and say something.
Well, Leonard, it goes beyond that. Not just as a state. The payee, the paymaster, has to be known by the banks, the commercial, the local banks, because they're transferring this money from somewhere. And if you or I or anybody goes to the bank to make any wire transfer or to even deposit or to withdraw money, the bank asks you where, when, how, what, why. All of a sudden, laws doesn't apply to everybody in this country. Also, Leonard, this entire matter in front of the court yesterday, this past week, for which the CJ made a pronouncement yesterday, APNO was not a party to this matter. APNO AFC was not a party. Basil Williams played his hand. He showed clearly what side he's on. He is not speaking there as an attorney general, and he is not. He has clearly shown that he's being paid to represent his political masters. Now, yesterday afternoon, Mr. Joe Harmon would have come out and made a statement to say, our lawyers, the APNO AFC has all of a sudden endorsed, but you know, it's not all of a sudden. We knew in the beginning. We knew from day one the shamelessness that is being perpetrated and being shown to the public. Now, what I find strange, Leonard, and bear me out with this, sir. You remember the last decision by the full court? Remember how APNO AFC attacked the full court and attacked the judges, but not a word against the Court of Appeal. Not a word. But guess what? This shows where decency lies in this country. The losers, the losing party at the Court of Appeal did not attack the judges. They did not say anything. You and I did not, and we have never said anything to bring disrepute to the courts. But just want the courts, the learned legal luminaries to pay heed now. Because all of a sudden, if you cannot rule in favor of APNO AFC, you are deemed to be political. And Leonard, now that this matter is going to the Court of Appeal, I'll share another thing with you. Last night, Mr. Norton was asked a question that are all the courts bought out? Are they bribed? Are they bought out? And you know what Mr. Norton said? He would not come to that as yet. This is a spokesperson for APNO AFC saying he would not come to that, he would not deal with that as yet. Meaning, that's a clear warning that they are shooting at the Court of Appeal. You better decide our way or else we're going to say something bad about you. Now, if the courts ever mattered who say bad or not bad about them, if it ever mattered with them, it never showed before. And Leonard, I'm sure it will not show. The legal people have their work to do. They have always done their work. We would agree, we would disagree. A loser will always cry. There is nobody in jail, Leonard. You go talk to any one of them who will admit, yes, they did something. Everybody in jail is innocent. A loser like APNO AFC is always going to cry. that they lose because of something else. But Leonard, these matters were dealt with in court before. What they went there is for the CJ to say, okay, you want a thief? We will allow you to steal. That's okay, go on. Now, all of a sudden, the last thing I'll say, APNU has shifted last night now. Remember up to last night, they have changed, over the past 4 days, they changed to a new narrative. They're now going back to the 10 declaration. They've gone back to Mingo's figures. You remember we had persons on this show who said, why are we bringing up Mingo figures? It's gone. Don't worry, discuss that. Events have surpassed that. We're talking about recount. Even Mr. Alexander is on record for that, Leonard. All of a sudden now, they're all embracing Mingo's declarations. So these people are caught in such a vicious circle of lies that they don't know where to stop, where to get off, which lie to repeat, or what new lie to make up for tomorrow. They're caught in a bind. I don't know if anybody can help them.
I don't know, but if you build a house on a foundation that is poor, the house is going to collapse. So that's how lies goes. You build one lie on top of the other lie. By the time you catch yourself at the end, you forgot what you started with. So it's going to collapse. And, you know, somebody said that the time is running out. They're running out of lies. And why are we calling them out? Because it is very, very simple. This is not, I think somebody tried to come on yesterday and they were trying to paint it as if this is, we don't want a black president. How unbelievable. And these are issues that normally I would not want to talk about. But when you hear some of these things, how could you, when the rule of law does not stand, when it is being bypassed, when the court system, whether you like it or not, is being abused till it's been beaten black and blue. It's 12 court cases now. And if you look at the amount of money that would have been spent, you try to put that, because everything comes back to dollars and cents. When you try to put that and see how much hampers you could buy, because I start thinking about that now. It bothers me every single day when we see the number of calls that we get in, and when you see the amount of money that you're spending, because we don't know. I rather presume that this thing is going to be with the Caribbean Court of Justice, with the Court of Appeal, with all the preparation of documents, with what GCOM is spending and everything in preparation, with what's holding, what this country would have lost, opportunities lost and things like that. It has to be in the billions. It has to be in the billions. And then the other side of it is that you're actually paying lawyers who know that they don't have a case, who know that the case is hopelessly flawed, as was being pointed out by the Chief Justice yesterday. If this is not shameful to a lawyer, by a couple of lawyers, that people that I really look up to in terms of, I said, these are smart guys. If I ever wanted to become a lawyer, I wanted to be like them. When I see some of them, the nonsense that they were talking, but not only that, there's certain things that as a human being that you should not do, not even for money or power. It says a lot about your character when you sit there and you endorse something, the stealing of an entire elections, and you sit there and you do that. What kind of legacy are you leaving?
Yeah, you talk about spending money. And if this is not insulting, then what is? The Chief Justice in paragraph 79 yesterday. Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. In paragraph 79 in her decision yesterday, she said as following, I quote, "It can be seen that the reliefs sought at 5 and 6 in this application replicate those in 4 and 6 of the Moore case. Paragraph 14 is exactly the same as paragraph 7. Paragraph 20 is mirrored in paragraph 9. Paragraph 21 is seen in paragraph 10. Paragraph 23 is similar to paragraph 11. Indeed, although couched in different terms, this application, for the most part, mirrors that of Moore, and in effect is similar to that of David in the Ali case. Leonard, what they did was copy and paste the Moore case, take it and couch it, use a couple of different things, and tell the judge, okay, listen to it. So really what they were up to is a time-wasting exercise. Time-wasting exercise so they could stay in office for a couple more days to steal some more land and steal some more stuff, because remember, we were warned that they have reached a stage where they may not even gazette the sale of lands anymore. Now, what I want to know, I would want us to reach out to all of the ministers of APNU AFC, because only a couple of them have been outspoken now. Only a couple of them. We need to know. It's time for us to know. Let them put up their hands and be counted. Who is backing this rig? Who is backing this cabal, and who is not? We know that David Granger's son-in-law spoke out, and I respect the man for that. I am not calling a political thing there. I'm just saying he spoke out for what he believed, and that is it. So let everybody speak out for what they believe. But Leonard, this is a time-wasting exercise to give them a couple more days. You and I have spoken off air. We are talking to a lot of people as to what is the danger behind the scenes. What are they really playing for? And ladies and gentlemen, I would want to reiterate, if they are intent on having an illegal government in place to steal an election, then the people of this country will not bend. We are not going to stoop and bow to a dictatorship, because for me, non-cooperation with evil is a sacred duty, Leonard. I am not going to bend, and I'm not going to bow to a dictatorship.
Thank you very much, there, Yog. And I saw, let me address a couple of things here now. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been at Kaicho Radio here. We've been under severe attack when it comes to the operations of the radio. Not only losing internet, some very, very strange things have happened. As of now, we've lost YouTube. And these are things that you see every single day, every little way that you could use to get at us. Mr. Lal says that he believes, this is Glenn Lal, that he believes that the next thing that they're going to gear for is the closing of the radio and the newspaper, find some means or the others. That's why we're very, very careful, and whenever you call in or if you're coming on here and you're commenting and so, we're going to block you if you decide to go down if you decide to carry out the racist rants or whatever it is that you want to do. But we have to be very careful because they're looking at every opportunity to shut us down. We're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to continue to shout from the very top. So even if you shut us down here, we have a roof that we're going to go and stand, and we're going to shout it across this land. Many ways to do that. So I want to say good day. While our YouTube is down, we're working to get it back. Good day to the people in Leg One. A good day to you there. We know that you're tuning in to us and listening, and I hope that everything is all right. And Yog, last evening, when it comes back to Anand Lal, there was some good discussions with him. And there was a couple of questions that came up, like, for example, about Kim Kite. I think everybody who was watching was extremely shocked that she would even, without conferring with her client, which is the GCOM chair, the commission, and she decided that, or she made the announcement that they are going to abide by whatever appeal that there is. And so I think commissioners and everybody else who were looking on, hoping to have an opportunity to GCOM to maybe even call a meeting to move on with the process, were extremely shocked that she seems to be bending over backwards without even talking to her client. And I think even Nandlal would have admitted as much, that this is something that really had them taken aback about the stance that was taken by Kim Kite. Of course, he's very respectful and everything. Of course, there was another question that was asked whether there's anything wrong with a sitting judge having a close relationship or had a close relationship with a sitting minister or a minister, whether that might not be grounds for recusal. And of course, he was very careful with that. He says while they are aware of it, aware of a situation, they have not taken any kind of actions as yet, and maybe they would expect that the good judge would probably make a decision to do that. So, but this is something maybe you want to throw in a little weight there.
Well, I would have hoped that there are two things that came out. One is that Ms. Kite, she said what she said, but if you were to assess what she said. She pretty much said that our stay, or we will stay our hand if you are in front of the court. That's what we have always done. So that she did not see that her client would make a change in that stance as would have been historically. Where I think we are left in some gray area is why then didn't GCOM act this morning? Why didn't GCOM act last night? Why isn't GCOM acting as we speak? Why is GCOM waiting now for the appeal to be filed? So it means by waiting, GCOM is aiding and abetting the frustration of this process, the frustration of GCOM. So that is something that we got to continue to look at. And tonight, Leonard, in room 592, we're going to have Mr. Chris Ram and Mr. Selwyn Peters. And certainly some of these questions we will ask them, whether Ms. Kite's statement, would have tied the hands of GCOM, or why didn't GCOM act? That will be coming up tonight.
Thank you very much, dear Mr. Oswald Samaru. I'm seeing some statements coming out. I could probably read it here because this is interesting. People don't have money to buy Glendale Kaichur newspaper anymore. People, thanks to you and Glendale. And he goes down. I think he's also said, you guys could read it there. But Mr. Oswald Samaru, if you're a real person, our number here is 226-7453. You could also send us any text that you want in addition to that, and then we could answer you about the role. You could also call me on my phone. I could tell you about the role that we played in 2015, leading up to 2015, or what we continue to do about the role of a newspaper, what it's supposed to be doing, and what we will continue to do. It does not matter which government in there. We don't have a constituency, sir. We don't have any political parties that we cater for. What we cater for is the rule of law and a better Guyana for all Guyana, not one party or not for the other party. So if that being the case, I guess you could also say, you could also make a case for that. 226-7453. You could call us a little later when we open the lines. That being said, let us move on to other things very, very quickly. Yog, I don't think we have time for detractors. I think the good people of Guyana want to see how this country could move forward, how they could have good resolutions to the COVID-19 situation, which has also been hitting us from the other side. APNO FC, and this is in the July 21st Kaichur News edition, APNO FC vows to appeal High Court's ruling in the recount case. PPP called it an abuse of the court, but is sure it will fail. And the main headline, GCOM must use recount to declare result. That was made clear by Chief Justice Roxanne George. Attorney General Basil Williams, Jones, Lowenfield submissions, hopelessly flawed. I think you could hear the exasperation in the lady's voice yesterday. Why you coming to me with this thing again? And this is something else that you would have said not too long ago. Lowenfield is a lone ranger, is bound by law. Well, he continued to do what he has to do. Had $8 billion, well, you'd have to account for that, sir. So let's see how that goes. $8+ billion. How did you spend it? And we know that leading up to 2015 that there were questions over spendings there too. That has never been resolved because GCOM probably never dealt with it in the way that it's supposed to be dealt with. It's coming back to haunt us in a very big way. Stop wasting the country's time with the court cases. This is LJP. JP and the TCI. Lowenfield tendered ballot papers. I have to look back at the story, Yog. But CHMPA failed to provide details about Luzaknan heliport. Man charged for threatening GCOM chair and family. Important story. One person created fake profile. He would have come on here on Kaichur radio as well, Yog, and were threatening our people, being very abusive towards the women and so on. We blocked him. He decided to take that now and threaten the GCOM chair. They are going to burn our property. He's charged before the court now. I'm not sure whether you like a record and the name, sir, but these are the kind of insidious and on the hand, under the table, wicked things that they're doing to intimidate our people. No retreat, no surrender. All sale agreements remain shrouded in secrecy despite GY Energy Department commitment to transparency. And that in itself remains very, very shocking at a day when we've been calling, putting all the laws, writing stories after stories. We continue to hide it. The people's business we hide in. We hide in all the details, and so we don't want to tell them what it is, although they own the oil. Yog, this is beyond ridiculous. When you look at some of these news, it's very depressing. And if there's anything that should be done, is charges should be laid against these people for what they're doing to Guyana.
Yes, Leonard. And I think the bigger, the harder question to contemplate is what next? Is this another, after the Court of Appeal hears this, we are heading to the CCJ. So Anand and Lal opinion last night was that the Court of Appeals matter could very well be handed down by this weekend. Mr. Samaru, I'm sorry, can you resend your question so we could answer it? I don't know if Leonard has it. But to your point, Leonard, after that is CCJ, and the CCJ will take another week. So we're looking at 2 weeks now. Here is an interesting scenario. The chairman, can the chairman do what she has to do? And there are some legal minds that feel that the chairman can proceed to do what she has to do because there is no law that prohibits the chairman from taking action and from carrying out her mandate. So, Leonard, there is a school of thought, and we are going to have some lawyers very soon that will deliberate on this matter. Because if the chairman, whether it's this week or next week, right? And when next week is finished, they'll bring another court case again. That will be another 3 weeks. So you're looking at that. And another one again, and another 3 weeks. So whether it's now or next week, ultimately, Leonard, the chairman will have to realize that she has to bring an end to this charade. She has to bring an end to this thing and do what she is constitutionally mandated to do, what she has to do. Now, last night also we asked whether it would be a breach for her to just proceed, and the answer given was that it may be a breach on one part, but an absolute permission on another part, because whether the word shall is mandatory or directory is something that an elections court can determine. Now, at the end of the day, all of this are going to end up in elections petitions anyhow. So we are not seeing the end of these elections where petitions are concerned. We just haven't seen the beginning of elections petitions, right? So the point, though, Leonard, is that the chairman, and I don't know whether Kaitier News can run this as their headlines or front page or front page comment or Starbucks News, or somebody can do it. But ultimately, we have to call on the chairman to do what she is constitutionally mandated to do. Because if she doesn't put her foot down now, she never will. Because this vicious cycle is to go on and on and on. The APNO AFC will bring another court case after this one is finished. And another one after this one is finished. And don't forget, Mr. CEO is under a lot of pressure. God forbid if the CEO says, well, I'm not up to doing my job this week, I'll do it next week. Or if somebody says that this is happening, or the telephone lines go, or one thing or another comes up to frustrate the process, Leonard. At the end of the day, my point is, how long will the chairman allow this to be dragged on and on without bringing it to an end, Leonard?
I think the buck, right, you're right. The buck stops it.
Will GCOM, if there is no parliament to approve more monies, will GCOM meet a point where they say, well, we don't have any more monies anymore to continue?
$8 billion plus?
Well, and it must probably meet it probably at the 7.75 already.
And I'm not sure how that's going to work, but at the end of the day, Yog, anything can happen and anything will happen to buy one more day. And guess what? You guys could bring it on, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. We've come to this point now where it's 141 days since that March 2nd elections. And guess what? In a few weeks' time, there's going to be the Trinidad elections. They're going to have a government in place, and we are not going to have one. What we have right now is a bunch of people, including the president, who's sitting there and who's not saying anything, who's waiting on the court or who's waiting on GCOM to make a declaration, knowing that that can't happen and he can't do the right thing. A QC boy. He's a QC boy. Very shameful.
I beg to differ that he's not saying anything. You're being very kind, sir. He is saying a lot. He is saying it through Joe Harmon. He's saying it through Norton. He's saying it through his preachers in the APNO AFC party. Everybody there, every single one, is speaking on behalf of Mr. David Granger. If they were not speaking on behalf of David Granger, Leonard, he would have corrected them as he did before. You remember when he came out to the tent and he said, I am speaking on behalf of the government, because he disagreed with what Basil Williams said. Now, because he did that, shows that he knows how to talk. He can speak, he can reason, he can direct people to think along a particular way. So whatever the APNO AFC is saying is representative of David Granger. No two ways about it, Leonard. They are just speaking through their own mouths, through different faces, but it is David Granger's thought. He is the president, not just the president, he's the head of the list. And everything that the APNO AFC is saying is so by the leader's decree, by the leader's blessing, Leonard.
Yes, thank you for that, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. If you're joining us now, elections and COVID-19 watch, we've been coming to you 141 days now since March the 2nd elections. Dr. Yog Mahadeo and myself and the Kaicho Radio, Kaicho News has been back in there, and our crew here been with you, and you've been with us very faithfully trying to make sense out of this nonsense. And I want to say good day to Mr. Roy Bipat and Mr. Paul Chung, Roy Bipat of the Giftland, and Mr. Paul Chung of Bihari, and all the staffers there, those two entities. They have done tremendously well, and the many who would have reached out to us trying to assist in one way or the other, for people who have been reaching out, not getting help from the government. So I want to say good day to you folks over there. I know that Giftland has opened somewhat. Yog, I'm not sure how long Guyana can continue in terms of business, and this is a conversation that we need to have. What is happening? I think are we at the stage of shutdown right now in terms of nothing happening? Could we say that?
Well, we are caught between a rock and a hard place. And the rock is APNO AFC and the hard place is David Granger. And we are caught between the two of them. I'm kidding. Look, Guyana is caught in the throes of almost a morbid point of existence or death. Here is what I mean. COVID-19, it's been 100 odd days. People need to work. People need to get back to work to get some semblance of income. So what the David Granger administration is betting on is that people will say, look, we enable with all this politics, we will go right back to work. And so they will continue to collect their taxes. And they're hoping that the needs of the population will drive the country. Like drivers on your backs now, you got to go back to work, you got to go back to work, you got to go back to work, we got to open up the country. That's what they have now come down to. They're the drivers on our backs sending us back to work. Now, what they're hoping to is that because we have to go back to work, the vehicles are going to drive on the road, the gas pumps are going to get back to work, taxes are going to be collected there, people's earnings are going to come into their pocket. In other words, they're hoping that opening back workspaces will be a kickstart to the economy, moving it back into a particular direction. All of this is so that people will be too busy to pay heed to what is going on there. They're going to drive people. And remember, Leonard, they purposely did not give people any assistance during COVID-19, not any assistance. They spent millions of dollars on court cases without even spending a dollar to help people out in their moment of need for food and stuff like that. So with that being said, the impoverished nation is there now wanting to get back to work. Leonard, here what is going to happen too. The shops are mandated to collect taxes from you, to collect VAT, and to pay the VAT over to GRA. GRA's top officers are receiving tax-free income. Even they don't pay taxes, but you and I have to pay taxes. You know, Leonard, the discrepancies, the unevenness of things in this country is unbearable. You have a tax collection agency of which its senior officers don't pay taxes and don't even live in this country. But we got to pay the taxes for them to live and for them to live well. You have senior members in the cabal. They don't go to the public hospital to get any help. They don't go anywhere locally. They don't do anything locally. But you got to do it, and you must pay taxes for Nagamutu and Granger and all of them to be paid their taxes. So the issue here is that people are saying, well, let us stop paying taxes. Well, in a way you can't, because the shopman will be forced to collect his taxes from you. There's tax at the front. There's tax at the front. There's tax at the back. If you get $20 stored in your bank account, the bank is going to take withholding taxes off. So, Leonard, people are in a jam. People are in a jam, and where do they go from here? Now, the other thing you would notice is that the other political parties in this process, they have been caught up with the court cases, they have been caught up with the stuff happening with these elections, that the people of this country have been left in limbo. No help, and they cannot offer help because they are not legitimately in power. So, Leonard, at the end of the day, I've said what I said there to highlight the fact that the cabal has gone beyond just stealing an election. Every meal they're eating now is of the sweat, of the tears of the people who cannot afford it, Leonard. While they are eating their fancy meals and driving their fancy vehicles, there are people in this country that cannot even get a meal. And as with the saying Creoles, you think them care? They don't care. They have not shown an aptitude of care. They have not shown an iota. Nothing, Leonard. You see Harman. Isn't Harman still supposed to be the CEO of that COVID task force? Have you ever heard him make a statement of help for the people in this country? It's all about politics, Leonard, and it is not going to stop anytime soon.
Good afternoon, my friend, to you and your host. It breaks my heart to see what is going on. I was at the shop, and one man asked the shop owner if he could get $20 onion. He got one for $20. It's sad. That's what we're coming down to. Might not be, we might not be getting a lot of stories like this, but trust me, based on what we're hearing, I'm almost sure that people are buying one egg, people buying maybe one potato. I would not be surprised, or one tennis hole. As you know, before time you used to go to the shop, let me get a tennis hole. I think we've gone back to those days. Yep.
And Leonard, the issue here, as you rightly say, is that even if we can afford, or we all help each other, can afford to buy one today, Leonard, it will come to an end. How long can we continue? You have a cabal that insists on staying in power. The TCI, the PPP, you yourself, Glenn Lal himself, my team and the Mahadeo Foundation, we have been going around this country sharing out help. But Leonard, our help is also dependent on other people helping us. And people are helping, but for how long?
I don't know.
And that's
I don't know.
The problem.
I really don't know. But guess what? In a few moments' time, the OS is going to meet. The OS is a body just like CARICOM, just like the Commonwealth. Guyana is part of it. Guyana is a respected member of it. Guess what we've done? We started costing the Commonwealth. We started costing the OS. We started costing the Carter Center. They are going to meet. This is unprecedented. You hear this? They are going to be meet on the Guyana election situation. They're probably going to make a resolution after this, whether it's today or tomorrow. What they're going to do is make a resolution. Look, we condemn this action by the Granger administration or by the coalition, and that we should. They are going to make a statement, and are more than likely eventually to sanctions too, because they could eject us from that group. And if one, it's going to start a domino effect that could probably see CARICOM ejecting us, Commonwealth ejecting us. You mean to tell me that over the past years, when we would have seen our dear president would have been taken, people would be coming in, the credentials, the diplomats and so, you're representing Spain, Portugal, and all those kind of things. Everything is being thrown into a tailspin because you want power. So we're going to lose our, maybe lose our membership to this country because, to these bodies, because a couple of people decided that come hell or high water, we're not gonna back down. We're not gonna come out of government because we believe that we modern, we father put it down. Therefore, that is what it is. They don't believe in the rule of law, because had you believed in the rule of law, we would have had elections since last year. That's one. Two, March the 2nd, after you would have had elections, you would have gone out of there because you respect the law. But no, the whole world, not only the judges are wrong, CARICOM is wrong, the US is wrong, the newspapers, all the newspapers in Guyana are wrong, except the Guyana Rag, which is being funded by the taxpayers and then bought by the taxpayers' money, because nobody else is buying it.
Right.
And you have a couple of people, like the Lampy and the Pampies. I think I see them boys. I don't know who that is. But if you want to go to and give up your visa, it's very, very simple. Call the media. We're going to send our people. Call the media, and we're going to send our cameras, and we are going to do what we have to do. So, Yog, there's so many things that we could talk about in terms of what they have done to us in terms of the damage toward diplomatic relations, to our membership to these bodies, to our good standing in the rest of the world, and what they have done to the people of Guyana. I think after this, you and I don't know about you, but I tell you definitely I need some counseling. I'm going to find a priest or a pandit or something and let them talk to me a little, because this thing is really having an impact, and this is no joke. Over to you, Yog.
And Leonard, the other thing is that there is a new talk. On the Guyana Rag today, they carried a new thing about shared governance. Now, all of a sudden, that will sooner or later be their call. Because when they realize they cannot take power by the ballot, they cannot take power by rigging, they now want to take power through the back door. They want to ensure they don't lose power. Now, the question that Guyanese will have to ask, and I support inclusive governance. I support that we need to reform the entire political structure of Guyana. I support also an open discussion, a very open discussion for all those who are proposing that we cannot live together. Come and let's talk. There must be an open discussion. Don't hide and throw stones behind the scenes. Have a frank and open discussion. And Leonard, one cannot contemplate at this stage sharing. If somebody decide they want to steal all the stuff from your home, they want to steal your roof, steal your windows, steal the furniture from inside your home, and they're gone with it, and they say, unless you share your house with me, I'm not giving you back these things. How can you negotiate with such a person? Leonard, that is the problem we have today. The cabal has stolen and continues to steal every day, and now they're telling you, well, share it with us and we'll talk about moving out. That defeats the whole purpose of shared governance, because now that is holding Guyana at ransom. And then one has to ask, does the population, the supporters, en masse supporters, of PNC now want Mr. Joe Harman or one of them to be their forefront person, or is it somebody else now that must take the lead? Those are the kind of questions we have to have before this discussion, Leonard.
Thank you very much for that, Yog Mahadeo. Let me ask my boys in the studio. Is it 2:30 or 6:30? You sure about that? Let us make a double check on that, because I think this is 2:30. We're going to check in the meantime whether the OS special meeting with its permanent council is going to be at 2:30 or 6:30. We hear in the different times, although we did see 2:30. So in a very short while, but you could get us on Facebook in the meantime, and we're going to take a decision as to whether we come live with that. But in the meantime, Yog, yes, of course, if you would have missed it yesterday, the court case, the Chief Justice, Roxanne George, would have tossed out, was very critical of the case that came before her with regards to elections. And if you did not learn some word, what is the word, the two words that came out yesterday, Yog, that if you have heard the case before, or if the case has been heard about a finality, to rest.
It's already have been dealt with and decided.
Right. So the matter that came up before the court yesterday, that has she's ruled very, very clearly. She says, one, Yog Mahadeo, you are a creature of this GCOM, and therefore you're under the direction of GCOM. And so I want you to know that you have to listen to what the GCOM chair is saying to you, and you abide by those. In any case, the only figures that you should be concerning yourself is recount figures. Right away, you see one of the respondents who is not even the applicant, and that is the man who's supposed to represent all Guyana, jump up and says, well, we are appealing. And later it was confirmed that the person who applied or who has filed the court case is also one and the same party or the same coalition that is in power. How ridiculous could it be? And what a big disclosure to the people of Guyana that the person who would have filed is not an individual, but it is indeed the party that would have done that. So, Yog, we have to continuously be aware of all that is happening. I think the people of Guyana, they're not stupid, and they're not going to take it. If you believe that a couple of people sitting down at a Facebook page, two persons with masks on the face, are going to bully the people of Guyana, the right-thinking people of Guyana, they are going to bully this newspaper here, they are going to bully the radio by attacking us, by going behind fake profiles, by arresting our staffers, by doing whatever it is. Bring it on. Bring it on. And if you're so serious about giving up your visas, go take it to the American Embassy and call the media. We're going to be there. We'll be very happy to plaster you across the front page. And if you have a question about that, call Glenn Ladd, 624-6456. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think the OAS session ought to be starting, if not started already. So let them boys check that out. I believe that has started. But Leonard, to your point, I just want to remind everybody that the Chief Justice also, in addition to res judicata, she used the phrases that I know a lot of the legal people are very familiar with. We, the lay people, are not so familiar with them, like stare decisis, which, stare decisis is a doctrine that obliges a court to ensure that they follow precedent. As long as something like this was already decided, something like this similar in nature, similar in matter was already decided, the courts would be more or less constrained to follow that using that doctrine. And also, in where there's similar matters, the Chief Justice also used the phrase ratio decidendi, to say that what they do is look at the reasoning of the court in making such decisions. And of course, she gave her reasoning yesterday for some of these things, Leonard. So that's for sure was stated by her.
Absolutely, dear Yog. And so if you're now joining us, this is the elections and COVID-19 watch here on Kaicho Radio. You could also get us on Kaicho Radio Facebook. And a good day to you right across this beautiful nation of ours. We are going to think, Yog, if I may, I want to ask your opinion. Should we also cut the program and bring the OS feed?
Leonard, sorry, I got called on something. My apologies.
Should we cut the program and do the feed, because I think a lot of people would be interested to see.
Yes, I think
to
so, Leonard.
Yes,
I think so.
folks. We have taken a decision, because although we're streaming it on Facebook, we are going to bring it to you live. It's a very important case. The OS, Organization of American States, has summoned a meeting of its permanent council, which is a decision-making body on the Guyana situation, and there's going to be a number of persons who are going to be talking. So in the interest of all, and a responsible newspaper and a radio, let's do that right away. You can take a break while we make a connection. Stay with us. Do not go anywhere. We are bringing you that live coverage of the OS. Thank you very much. And Yog, I guess if it's finished before that, we are going to be back with you guys. Thank you.
Observed both the Discipline Services vote on February 21 and the main poll on March 2nd.